Somewhere in a scrapyard sits a forgotten truck that can still conquer terrain most brand new 4x4s would never survive. No touchscreens, no driving modes, just steel, low-range gearing, and unstoppable capability. These machines earned their reputation in wars, deserts, jungles, and remote farms where failure wasn't an option. They weren't built to impress, they were built to keep moving when everything else got stuck. Let's count down the toughest old trucks ever made. Number 10. Mitsubishi Forte. Rarely mentioned outside enthusiast circles, the Mitsubishi Forte was one of Japan's earliest compact 4WD pickups, introduced at a time when most small trucks were designed for paved roads rather than rough terrain. Its rugged ladder frame chassis, dependable four-wheel drive system, and simple mechanical design earned it a reputation for getting through places where larger trucks often struggled. With generous ground clearance, solid construction, and low-range gearing on 4WD models, the Forte handled muddy farms, mountain tracks, and forestry roads with surprising confidence. Its compact dimensions made it especially useful in Japan's narrow rural landscapes, where maneuverability mattered just as much as capability. Farmers, construction crews, and utility companies valued the Fort because it could withstand years of demanding work with minimal downtime. Reliability wasn't just a selling point, it was the reason many owners kept them in service long after newer pickups arrived. Inside, practicality came before comfort. Durable materials, straightforward controls, and an easy-to-maintain layout reflected a truck built to work every day rather than impress buyers with luxury. That no-nonsense engineering is exactly why surviving examples remain highly respected among classic Japanese truck enthusiasts today. Coming up, a British off-roader that conquered dirt roads across the globe long before SUVs became a trend. Have you ever spotted a Mitsubishi Forte in your country? Let us know where in the comments. Number 9. Land Rover Series 3109 pickup. Long before Land Rover became a luxury badge, the Series 3 was farm equipment with a steering wheel. Built on a ladder chassis with a 2-speed transfer case, the 109-inch wheelbase pickup variant balanced load capacity with genuine crawling ability across terrain most trucks wouldn't attempt. Aluminum body panels kept weight down and rust at bay, a decision that quietly extended the working life of thousands of units still functioning today in Africa, Australia, and the Middle East. Low-range gearing was aggressive enough to idle up loose scree without touching the throttle. Land Rover built these for people who genuinely had no other option, no tow truck coming, no cell signal, just the vehicle and the terrain. That's a different design philosophy than anything rolling off a modern assembly line. Mechanics could rebuild an entire drivetrain with hand tools on the side of a trail, and replacement parts stayed simple enough that supply chains in remote regions never became a real obstacle. That's part of why so many are still running in Africa decades on. Next up, the truck the US military trusted before the Humvee even existed. Series 3 or Defender. Which one earns more respect in your book? Number 8. Dodge Power Wagon. Built directly off the WC series military trucks that served in World War II, the civilian Dodge Power Wagon was essentially a war machine sold to farmers and loggers. Full-time four-wheel drive, a power takeoff for running winches and equipment, and a chassis engineered to survive artillery-adjacent abuse made this one of the toughest trucks ever sold to the public. Its approach and departure angles remain impressive, even by today's standards, and the drivetrain was engineered with such generous safety margins that many power wagons are still hauling loads through backcountry properties decades later. There was no comfort package, no infotainment, nothing soft about this truck at all. Every component existed for one purpose: keep moving no matter what's underneath the tires. Even the gearing reflected wartime priorities, low range ratios steep enough to crawl up grades most trucks would need momentum to clear, sacrificing top speed entirely for control. Speed was never the point, getting there was. Up next, a Japanese pickup nobody in America noticed until it became a cult icon. Would you take a Power Wagon over a modern Ram TRX? Let us know why. Number 7. Toyota Hilux 4th generation. Reputation earned through relentless abuse, that's the short version of the 4th generation Hilux story. Long before internet meme culture crowned it indestructible, this Hilux generation was already proving itself across deserts, war zones, and construction sites where failure wasn't an option. Solid front axle, leaf-sprung suspension, and a torque-heavy diesel option gave it crawling ability that punched well above its compact size. Lightweight construction meant less strain on axles during articulation, letting it flex over obstacles that would high-center a heavier modern truck. Television crews eventually tried to destroy one on camera and failed spectacularly, but truthfully, anyone who worked alongside this generation of Hilux already knew the outcome before the cameras rolled. Its narrow footprint also meant it could squeeze through gaps other trucks avoided entirely, turning tight canyon trails and overgrown paths into routine driving rather than a gamble. That agility is still hard to find in anything built today. Next, an American truck built specifically to survive the worst backroads Detroit could imagine. Hilux believers, sound off in the comments if you've driven one that refused to quit. Number 6. Ford F-250 Highboy. Nicknamed for its raised transfer case and taller stance, the F-250 Highboy solved a problem most 1970s trucks never addressed: ground clearance that actually mattered off pavement. That extra height meant fewer scrape differentials and better approach angles when the trail got technical. Solid axles front and rear, paired with a reliable low-range transfer case, gave the Highboy genuine crawling composure, while its comparatively simple mechanical systems meant fewer things could fail miles from help. Body-on-frame construction with minimal electronics translated to a truck that could be field repaired with basic tools. Collectors chase these today specifically because that raised stance solved real problems, not aesthetic ones. Function dictated form here, not the other way around. Diesel and gas variants both carried enough low-end torque to idle over rock ledges without stabbing the throttle, which kept traction predictable on surfaces where hesitation usually means getting stuck. Predictability, more than power, is what actually gets a truck through a trail. Coming up, a truck General Motors built almost by accident, and it became one of the toughest off-roaders of its era. Highboy or lowboy, which F-250 era do you trust more off-road? Number 5. Chevrolet K10 Cheyenne. Square-body Chevys built a reputation that modern trucks still get compared against, and the K10 Cheyenne trim earned its spot through a combination of torque-rich small-block engines and a chassis engineered for genuine abuse. Solid front and rear axles delivered predictable articulation across broken terrain. Weight distribution on the K10 favored traction over comfort, keeping power planted even on loose surfaces, where modern, heavier trucks tend to spin and dig themselves deeper. A simple 2-speed transfer case meant low-range crawling without a single sensor involved in the decision. Farms, ranches, and mountain properties across North America still run these trucks daily, not as nostalgia pieces, but as functioning tools nobody's found a reason to replace. Owners often point to the K10's frame as its real advantage, a fully boxed design stiff enough to resist twisting on uneven ground, keeping doors, panels, and drivetrain alignment intact after years of abuse. Few trucks from this era held their shape as well under real load. Next, an Australian-built pickup engineered specifically for the harshest outback terrain on Earth. Square body owners, how many miles is your K10 currently sitting at? Number 4. Toyota Land Cruiser FJ45 Pickup. Military contracts and expedition teams built the Land Cruiser's reputation, and the FJ45 pickup variant carried that same over-engineered durability into a working truck body. A straight-six engine paired with a rock-solid transfer case gave it torque delivery ideal for slow, technical crawling rather than speed. Leaf springs on a live front axle allowed for generous wheel travel, while a boxed frame resisted the twisting forces that destroy lesser trucks on uneven terrain. Toyota built these knowing they'd end up in places with no dealership, no parts store, and no room for mechanical compromise. Decades later, FJ45s are still working trucks in parts of Africa and South America, proof that the original engineering brief was met, and then some. Reliability wasn't accidental either. Toyota tested prototypes across brutal proving grounds long before release, chasing failure points out of the design instead of leaving them for owners to discover. That discipline is baked into every FJ45 still on the road. Up next, a Datsun that quietly outperformed trucks twice its price. FJ40 or FJ45, SUV or pickup, which Land Cruiser wins for you? Number 3, Datsun 620, King Cab 4x4. Overshadowed by its Toyota rival for decades, the Datsun 620. King Cab quietly built one of the most loyal followings in classic off-road circles. Compact dimensions gave it a tighter turning radius and better maneuverability through technical trails than most full-size trucks could manage. A torquey 4-cylinder engine, paired with low-range gearing, let it crawl steep grades without excessive wheel spin, while its light curb weight reduced strain on the drivetrain during articulation over rocks and ruts. Aftermarket support kept these trucks running long after Datsun, the brand itself, disappeared from American showrooms. Enthusiasts who've owned both generations of small Japanese trucks often argue the 620 handled technical terrain with more finesse than its more famous rival, even if it never got the same recognition. Its suspension travel, generous for a truck this size, let wheels stay planted over uneven ground, where stiffer, heavier trucks would lift a tire and lose traction entirely. That kind of composure is rare, even among today's compact off-roaders. Next, a military-derived pickup so tough it's still standard issue in parts of the world today. 620 or Hilux, which small Japanese pickup earns your loyalty? Number 2. International Harvester 1210 4x4. Built by a company better known for tractors and farm equipment, the International Harvester 1210 brought genuine agricultural-grade durability into pickup form. Heavy-duty axles and a transfer case borrowed from IH's construction equipment lineage gave this truck load-bearing capability that outclassed most civilian competitors. Suspension geometry favored articulation over comfort, letting wheels maintain ground contact across terrain that would leave a stiffer, modern truck bouncing between obstacles instead of climbing them. Overbuilt drivetrain components meant the 1210 rarely failed under loads that would strain lighter competitors. International Harvester eventually exited the pickup market entirely, but the trucks they left behind are still hauling, towing, and climbing on properties where quitting simply isn't an option. Farmers who ran these trucks daily still describe them as tractors, wearing a truck body built for torque and endurance first, with comfort treated as an afterthought at best. Nobody bought one expecting a smooth ride, and nobody complained about that trade-off. Before the top pick, a quick reminder, none of these trucks had a single computer chip helping them survive. Did you know International Harvester built pickups at all? Let us know in the comments. Number 1. Jeep J10 Honcho. Topping the list, the Jeep J10 Honcho combined Jeep's military-bred, four-wheel drive engineering with genuine pickup utility, resulting in a truck that handled technical terrain with a composure few competitors matched. Solid axles, a 2-speed transfer case, and a chassis derived from Jeep's proven off-road lineage gave the Honcho crawling ability that modern half-ton trucks still struggle to replicate. Wheelbase and weight distribution were tuned specifically for backcountry capability rather than highway cruising, and its comparatively narrow track let it navigate trails that stopped wider, heavier trucks entirely. Simplicity extended through the drivetrain, meaning field repairs stayed realistic, even far from civilization. Jeep's off-road pedigree wasn't marketing, it came directly from decades of military development, and the Honcho inherited every bit of that engineering discipline in a package built for real work. Even decades later, the Honcho's combination of size, gearing, and mechanical honesty is why serious off-roaders still rank it above most trucks wearing a modern off-road badge on the tailgate. It earned that spot the hard way, not through a marketing campaign. That's the full list, but the debate around which era of off-roader actually deserves the crown isn't close to settled. Which of these 10 would you actually trust on a real trail today? Drop your pick below. Modern trucks have their place, comfort, safety, towing capacity numbers that would have seemed impossible decades ago. But capability off pavement was never really about horsepower or screens. It was about simplicity, weight, gearing, and a driver who understood the terrain better than any onboard computer ever could. These 10 trucks proved that decades ago, and in a lot of backcountry corners of the world, they're still proving it today. If this list is missing a truck that deserves a spot, say so in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives into the machines that built off-roading before it became a marketing category.